All right, so I have Sloan from PulsePoint here. Sloan, can you tell me a little bit about your company, how old it is, and how many people are there?
How long do you have, and can we grab some alcohol?
Yes and yes.
So PulsePoint's technically been around about 5 years, but the predecessor companies go back almost 15 years. So PulsePoint was formed by two companies. Both companies were VC funded and came together in 2011 to form PulsePoint. We have had more than 9 lives, and we have continued to see the light of day. And today we're succeeding and flourishing, and are hopefully bringing real value to the marketplace. So we're really proud of the way we've transformed ourselves. Today we have 3 offices. We have about 130 people, approaching $150 million of revenue, and squarely profitable every year for the last 3.5 years.
That's super impressive, especially given how much of the revenue comes from new places versus the products that existed already. The pace of change there is something I've never seen before. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about ad tech is it changes not in years or even months, but almost in days. And so you have to change very quickly. And so to your point, 4 years ago, our business was $11 million, and today we're approaching 150. The beginning of this year, we didn't have this product. We introduced the product in about February or March, and today that product's about 1/3 of our revenue. So you really have to move quick and be decisive in what you do, and having a process to do that, and a framework to do that, and supportive coaches to do that is really been beneficial to us as a company and management team.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about when you hired a coach, what were the things that you were looking for, and why did you pick Freescale?
So great question. My experience with gazelles and Rockefeller Habits actually goes back close to 15 years ago. I received an email. I had an AOL email at the time, so you can tell how
AOL email.
AOL email. I got an email from my college roommate who said, "Hey, take a look at this." And I read it, and I was like, that's really interesting. So I signed up for the newsletter, and 15 years later, I'm still using it. And my success is a lot of hard work, but the guidance of gazelles as a methodology and a business framework has really driven my success across the board. And I tell that to everyone. So I've been a student of gazelles forever. The only thing I haven't done is have a coach to assist me and sort of refine my understanding and my practical application of gazelles. And I think that's where you guys have come in. I felt like I had done what I could with gazelles, and that I wasn't able to sort of reach the next level. So I interviewed a number of coaches thinking, hey, I need to get better. I need to improve. Gazelles is a great framework, but I need that extra push up. And I met you guys at one of the gazelles, twice a year meetups, and immediately struck a right bond, mostly because you guys have practical business experience. You guys have had investors. You guys have had the pressure of a board. You've had the pressure of like a business being sort of destroyed and having to rebuild it. Mm-hmm. I have lots of gray hair, and my gray hair tells me consultants are just that. They're consultants. You need real practical business practitioners who can actually apply the knowledge to the methodology and then consult on that. And so I think that's the reason why I picked you and Wayne, is because you, besides the clear chemistry that we had, you had that real practical experience that I knew I needed the perspective and context around.
Awesome. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about the results or outcomes that we've been working together for about 6 months or so, a little bit more. And tell me a little bit about the outcomes, the results that you've seen, maybe looking at it from a few different perspectives. Start with at the company level, and then how you have changed, how you work, and then the leadership team.
Yeah, so at the company level, I think we've struggled. I have struggled as a manager over the years with some very core fundamentals of business, and that's straight accountability to my team. Mm-hmm. And so I think from a corporate standpoint, great companies have great accountability, and I think I haven't been satisfied with the accountability I'm bringing to the company and to my senior leadership team, and then my senior leadership team down to their team. And so really need to focus on accountability within the organization. And I think that's one of the things that, the refinements you've made to how I approach Rockefeller habits and your coaching and mentorship and running our offsites have allowed us to really refine and be keenly focused on accountability within the organization. It starts with sort of that strategic plan. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think about often, I think I've always been good at looking out over the horizon. What I haven't been good at is getting everyone around me to do the same. And so I think Rockefeller and working with you guys have not just allowed me to look over the horizon, but get the team to look over the horizon with me. And obviously a group of people is better than one individual doing that. And so from a strategic perspective, we're looking out over the horizon and making sure that we're preparing for that. From an accountability standpoint, when you look at the Rhythm software, it's clear who's doing well and who's not doing well. Mm-hmm. Black and white, it's binary, and that makes my job easy because I don't have to look in my notes to see what you said 3 months ago, what you did. It's all there, and we can quickly look up in 3 seconds and understand whether Bobby Joe is red, green, or yellow, and whether Joni is red, and how we can help her get to green.
Awesome. How's the leadership team taken to this process?
Yeah, so I think initially, in general, what I find is people are resistant to things like Rockefeller habits. Mm-hmm. They sort of snicker in the background when you say, hey, I'm going to apply this methodology. And it's based around John D. Rockefeller. And this is what it's about, these 4 processes, including people and process, all the other things. And they usually snicker. And then you sort of try to bring them along, and they resist because people hate change and people hate accountability. And that's the experience I've had. It's taken a long time to get half of my team signed up to Rockefeller, truly believing it. And what I think I've seen is over the last 3 to 4 months, the rest of the team is buying into the process, buying into the methodology. And, you see things like, I'm not going to do my weekly huddle. So now everyone doing their weekly huddle and putting pressure on others to do it as well. So that has really helped me, sort of structure my day, mm-hmm. structure my management team in a way that we have full accountability within the system.
One of my favorite things that I've seen happen in your company is watching the other leaders go, how do I get this down now to the people who work for me?
Definitely.
That's been a really interesting piece of the puzzle. You've already had a one-page plan for a long time before we came into the picture. In fact, you have, I don't know how big it is, 100-foot wide one-page plan in your lobby. Or something like that. It's gigantic. What have you seen has changed with that model since you've been working with us?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to what I said a little earlier, which is you have to have real buy-in from your senior leadership team in order to get buy-in from your team. And I don't think I have been had prior to you guys helping us and joining sort of the process, I think it was really difficult to get my team to buy in completely. Some people were 100% bought in, others weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And so with your help, coaching, mentorship, explanation, and contextualization at our meetings, people now see the value of it. And I think if you can articulate even to the most reticent person on your management team, and you get them to understand the value that it's going to provide to them individually, and then their teams, and then the company, you can get buy-in. And once you get buy-in, great things happen as a team.
Awesome. So, we always talk about, the 4 pillars of a strong business of people, strategy, execution, and cash. Can you just give us a sense of what refinements you've seen in those areas? Start with people.
Yeah, so with people, it's been very clear the changes that have occurred over the last 6 months since you guys have started working with us. So it starts with accountability, and I'm seeing much more accountability across the whole organization. Before it was this process by which I'm going to do it because Sloan tells me to do it. Now it's I'm going to do it because it's going to help me.
Right.
People, I think, have bought into that process and are sort of encouraging others to do the same. And once again, you need buy-in in order for this process to work.
Awesome. How about on the execution side of things? Obviously, you've been doing this for a long time. How has your execution been refined in the process?
Yeah, so I think early on, even before working with you guys, when we did goal setting, we would get goals that were less than SMART. Mm-hmm. People would not want to be held accountable to them. And second, in a lot of cases, they weren't aligned with the overall company strategy. So what we've seen over the last few months since we've started working with you is the ability for people to write SMART goals that are clearly aligned with the company strategy. And so if you picture a crew team rowing in a river, before we had lots of oars that were sort of rowing unevenly. Today, I think most oars are rowing with everyone else.
Right. There's what do they call the person in the front of the boat that beats the rhythm?
Yeah, the
coxswain, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a sense of, I know it's still early in the process, but what have you seen in terms of ROI on the process, right? This is an expensive process that takes a lot of your time. And what do you see as the ROI at this early stage of the game?
Yeah, as you said, ROI is always difficult to quantify, but there's clearly ROI across the board. If you look at accountability being front and center, if you don't have accountability, a lot of time and you sort of run in place. And I felt over the last few months, we've actually been sprinting forward. And so having the alignment and the accountability has allowed us to sort of propel our business forward. Second, as I mentioned before, strategy is something that you need the team for. You can't do that in a bubble. And so us coming together as a team with you guys and you helping us sort of look out over the horizon has really allowed us to crystallize what the future can look like, from the 3 HAG to the cash to the enterprise value discussions that we've had. When I look at what my job is and that's created enterprise value, looking at and thinking about that on a daily basis will ultimately prove to be a very valuable investment. And then last but not least, I think I look at one of the exercises that we did with you guys a few weeks ago where we took people through the scorecard. And so we had an individual that came through about a week ago and someone did the scorecard and we realized that as much as we like this person was not a good fit for us.
Not the right person for the seat.
No way. And so that form, that very simple form, probably allowed us to avoid a bad hire, which, as we know, is probably worth 10 times that person's salary. So,
right. What we come up with for a bad hire, it was more than $1 million, I think, was what we came up with in the session.
And this person was a $200,000 employee, so it's probably even more than that.
Yeah.
So I look at the strategy side, I look at the execution, the accountability side, and then some of the practical skills that you're teaching me and the team. And when you apply that, clearly there's ROI there. I'll know a little bit more in 6 months' time.
Awesome. Well, actually, that leads me into my next question. So if you played the tape forward 12 months, right, a year from now, what do you expect to accomplish working with us over these next 12 months?
I sort of go back to the 4 critical areas of Rockefeller Habits.
Mm-hmm.
From a people perspective, I hope to continue to, refine the team and upgrade the team and have A players across the board. And I'm getting more and more crystallization of what that means every day. So a team of A players, real A players, not the fake A players that people think about. Second, on the strategic side, because our business changes so quickly, it's important that we anticipate that change and we're prepared to change along with ahead of the rest of the industry. Mm-hmm. And so being able to take the time over the past 6 months and looking forward the next 6 months, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to continue to grow the company in spite of all the change that's happening in our space. And we're going to have the right strategy for the right time for the company. Next, execution, right? You're never going to be satisfied with execution. Mm-hmm. If you ever are as a CEO, then you should get to tell you you're wrong,
right?
And you're looking at things and all wrong, and you're complacent. So execution, I think we're going to continue to get better. But I hope in 6 months, when we're having that whiskey together, we can say we've improved execution by 10x. And last but not least, it's all about cash. And when I look at our business, we're producing cash now, but we have to continue to leverage our organization through technology, and that will result in more cash flow. And if we get the people right, the strategy right, the execution right, cash will flow very nicely from that.
Awesome. One last question on the coaching side of things. What's it been like working with 2 coaches, right? So you work with both Wayne and I together, and you're getting different perspectives. What's that been like for you? How's that work for you?
Yeah, having worked with others in the past, 1 coach is sometimes great. 2 coaches is infinitely better. One of the things you like as a CEO is context and perspective. Mm-hmm. And when you're getting 1 context or 1 perspective, that can be limiting, especially for me in my business philosophy. I like to get lots of views and then understand all the views and then, make my decision from there. So having you and Wayne, both as coaches, I can ask you a question and I get different answers from both of you in a lot of cases. And there's no black and white answer in a lot of cases. It's just different perspectives. And so from my standpoint, there's nothing better than having 2 coaches than 1. And the benefit of working with you guys is you get both. And I think about one situation where I had a big issue with the board of directors, and both of you came at that sort of advice or guidance differently, because you both have had different experiences and you have different sort of perspectives, and those 2 perspectives really helped me frame the issue and get over it.
Awesome. So if anybody's watching this, they're thinking about working with us. And so from your own sense of it, how do you know that this is right for you or not right for you, as a CEO of a company?
I would advise anyone who can afford a coach, or even if you can't afford a coach, to find room in your budget for someone to help guide you in your growth. No matter how fast your growth is, we grew 100%, and we're growing 50% now. And clearly you want to continue to push yourself. And the way to do that is through coaches and coaching. And so what I'm hoping for, what I think people need to know is there's no better replacement for, well, let me say it differently. The best players in the world, like Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods and whoever else you want to say in the sports, they all have coaches. They have head coaches, they have assistant coaches, they have strength and fitness coaches. CEOs need good coaches, and you guys are great coaches.
That's awesome. So anybody who's watching this video is going to say, what's the deal with the shark behind your head?
Great question. So one of the things that being in a fast-moving industry like ad tech, it's all about innovation. And I still do love watching Shark Tank with my daughter. And I get to challenge her as an 11-year-old on what she would do and whether she would invest. And so a couple of years ago, we introduced the Shark Tank program where we had people around the organization. They can pitch individually or in groups new ideas, and reward those new ideas with investment as well as cash incentives for people to bring forth their best ideas. So it's been an unbelievable program, and once again, it goes to the heart of our organization, which is innovation, making sure you innovate so you don't die.
Awesome. Any other parting thoughts before I sign off?
No, I just think if you're a CEO watching this and you think you can execute better, you think you can continue to refine your strategy, and you need guidance and strong guidance, then the Free Scale guys are for you.
Thank you so much.